In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about web exploits. Now, we've talked quite a bit about exploiting compiled applications. With the web applications, it tends to be slightly different. Often, you might attack a service if there are weak credentials for that service, if someone has a bad password login combination, or you might inject some code because the website code is bad. In this video, I'm going to show you an example of exploiting some weak credentials. So I've already fired up Metasploit, and I'm going to run a basic Nmap scan of a target system. And when I do that, it comes up and it tells me that there's a service on port 8180, and it says it's unknown. Now, if I do a more in-depth Nmap, I can give it the -SV option, where it will try to figure out the versions for various services that it discovers. So I rerun it here. This will take just a few seconds. And when it returns, it will tell me what that service is. And sure enough, it says Apache Tomcat Coyote JSP Engine 1.1. If I bring up a browser and I go to that port, I will see something like this, a management interface. From here, I can log in and I can administer a couple of things. That's not what I want to do at the moment. At the moment, I have a theory that they probably have a weak password. I'm just going to test the theory. Now, there are different ways of doing some scans and in trying to figure out what the passwords are and trying to crack the passwords. And sometimes you can just try something obvious. In this case, I'm going to try something obvious that a lazy admin might have used. First, I need to load an exploit for Tomcat. So I'll use an exploit. It's a multi-exploit because it works on multiple operating systems. It's HTTP based and it's Tomcat Manager Deploy. So that's my exploit. I can get some more information by typing info, and it will give me all kinds of references and it will tell me about it. I can also say show options, and it will list the various options. And if I don't know what would be a compatible payload, I can also say show payloads. And in this case, I'm going to pick a payload of Java interpreter bind TCP to keep it simple. So I will set my payload as Java interpreter bind TCP. And now when I type show options, I will see options for the payload as well. I'm going to guess a password of Tomcat and a username also of Tomcat. That would be a very common password. So I'm going to set password to Tomcat, username Tomcat. I'm going to set the remote port to 8180. And I'm going to set the remote host to 192.168.56.101. Show options. Just make sure I didn't miss anything. I've got it set. I've got my host set, my port set. This should be enough. So now if I type exploit, there you have it. I have an interpreter shell on my machine. I can run a process listing. I can see what kind of machine it is. In this case, machine is Linux, and I can get some help from interpreter and see the different commands available. You could tell that it's Linux because of the options available to you in interpreter. They're going to be different options from what you would normally get in a Windows environment. Another good way to tell, if I do a shell, I can do a uname-a, and it tells me what the machine is. I'll exit my shell back to my interpreter. So there you have it. We've gone through a very simple web exploit. You can have other kinds of web exploits where you might have to rely more directly on some flaws in code as opposed to some services